Welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program. I'm Kendra Cook.
And I'm Jerry Tope. The Southwest TV Translator Association underwrites the news, and Dolores County Broadcasting Network provides the support for DCTV.
Here at the News at Noon show, we present news we hope you find interesting and report on local issues and events. Give us a call with news tips or topics you'd like to see covered. The number is 677-4119.
We appreciate that you are watching DCTV. Today's show is live on Wednesday at noon and rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8 p.m. and again re-aired on Saturday at noon, 2:30 and 8.
Today is November 2nd, 2016. Now, here's the news. The Durango Herald reported that a Durango man who broke into an occupied home while armed with a screwdriver in one hand and a knife in the other will spend 90 days in jail and 3 years on probation. Matthew Bennett Smith, 42, was convicted of felony trespassing. He was sentenced to 30 days in jail and probation in September 2014, but he failed to comply with terms of his probation, so faced a resentencing hearing this week. District Judge Suzanne Carlson planned to allow Smith to participate in a community corrections program, which would allow him to remain free while working in the community under close supervision, but he was not accepted into the program. Upon release from jail, Smith must obtain mental health evaluations, comply with recommendations for treatment, abstain from alcohol and drugs, and pay court costs and restitution. If he's not successful on probation, he faces 3 years in prison. The story was that Smith broke into the home about 3:15 p.m. June 13, 2013 at 1020 and a half Main Avenue, an upstairs apartment near Carver Brewing Company in Durango. A man and a woman who were inside the apartment locked themselves in a bedroom and called police. As police tried to enter, Smith locked the door, according to an arrest affidavit. Officers kicked open the door and found Smith hiding behind a kitchen counter. With guns drawn, police yelled repeatedly for Smith to drop the knife and screwdriver. He eventually dropped the knife and got to his knees, but he held on to the screwdriver, according to the affidavit. An officer fired a non-lethal beanbag round at Smith, hitting him in the torso. He then began stabbing the carpet with the screwdriver. The officer fired another beanbag round, striking him in the abdomen area. Smith dropped the screwdriver and the officers arrested him. Public defense lawyer John Moran asked the Smith be placed on probation, while Assistant District Attorney Christian Champagne asked that a prison sentence be imposed. Judge Carlson said Smith has already violated terms of his probation, so she wasn't going to reward him with probation. Apparently 2 beanbags trumps a screwdriver after all. Likewise, she gave him a chance to prove he could be successful in the community before going to prison.
The Cortez Journal reported that in a hearing Tuesday, Rick Stallings, the man accused of killing longtime Durango resident Karen Canini, tried to convince a judge that he's capable of representing himself in court, yet not competent to stand trial. Dustin O'Brien, Chief Deputy for the 11th Judicial District Attorney's Office in New Mexico, said it doesn't make any sense. In July, Stallings, 50, of Farmington, reportedly decided to retain his assigned public defense attorney, Thomas Clark, after Stallings had previously stated he wished to dismiss him. But in court Tuesday, Stallings apparently changed his mind. Said O'Brien that Stallings asked District Court Judge Karen Townsend to grant a motion that would allow Stallings to represent himself. At the same time, Stallings argued he wasn't competent to stand trial, prompting Townsend to postpone proceedings until a mental evaluation could be conducted. Stallings was to stand trial November 28th on charges of possession of a deadly weapon by a prisoner in connection to a December 2015 incident in the jail in which authorities discovered he had made a shank out of a pair of glasses. The murder trial and the killing of Canini was slated to begin sometime in the spring. Both cases are likely to be pushed back because of the competency evaluation, which can take about 60 days, said O'Brien. Until that's complete, nothing will happen, he said. Depending on the results, we'll have a hearing to determine whether he's competent. Stallings is accused of breaking into Canini's Flora Vista, New Mexico home in October 2015 to steal jewelry, credit cards, and checks, among other items. Authorities believe Canini came home during the burglary and was shot by Stallings. Canini, 69, was found dead from a single gunshot wound. 2 days after the killing, Stallings was found at a residence in Farmington. He refused to come out, inciting a standoff that required San Juan County, New Mexico Sheriff's Office SWAT team and Farmington police to surround the home. He faces charges of first-degree murder. as well as several other felony theft offenses related to the October 1st, 2015 homicide.
Reported by the Durango Herald, a lengthy list of safeguards is in place to protect against ballot fraud in Colorado, despite cries that the election is easily rigged. Secretary of State Wayne Williams, a Republican, is calling Trump's remarks inaccurate, pointing to layers of protections. Trump has seized on battleground Colorado's first year of all-mail voting, though voters have the option to vote in person. Ballots that are received are under continuous surveillance, brought to the tabulation process by a bipartisan team, including one Republican and one Democrat. In Dolores County, as with all other offices according to Loretta Randolph, clerk and recorder, the county clerk office receives the ballots either from mail or personal drop-off at the office in the county courthouse building. A pair of bipartisan judges will first date, stamp, and log the received ballots, which are then entered into the statewide registration database. Another set of bipartisan election judges then begin the signature verification process. Judges comb through each signature on every ballot, which in La Plata County is a manual process rather than automated. If a discrepancy is noticed, if a signature doesn't match the signature on record, then the ballot is placed into a cure process, in which the voter is notified by a letter and by email if an email is provided. Voters have until November 16th to cure their ballot. If there is no cure, the vote is not counted. This system works in the most recent general election. 10,000 attempts to vote without a matching signature were prevented, Bartels said. Ballots that have been signature verified and validated go to the processing team, another bipartisan team that inspects ballots to ensure that they will be read correctly through the tabulation machines. Judges look for the intent of the voter, despite a mark that might not have been completely filled in, a coffee spill, or slight rip. Those inspected ballots are counted and logged. A tracking sheet follows envelopes all the way through the process until the ballot is separated from its envelope. Finally, ballots are sent to another set of bipartisan judges who put the ballots through tabulation machines, which are not connected to the internet and are audited before and after the election. Once at the machines, ballots are again counted, audited, and documented. As for fears that multiple ballots are being sent to voters, clerks are required to track every ballot sent. So if a voter comes in and says they lost their ballot and they need another, the original ballot would be voided and the voter would be sent a new one. Clerks can cancel ballots coming from outside counties, meaning clerks can see if voters already voted in another county. Voters attempting to vote twice risk prosecution. The public can ask to observe the process, adding one more oversight. Earlier this year, reports were raised of votes cast in the names of dead Coloradans, but of the half-dozen incidents, no recent cases were identified. The state compares voter data with the state health department and Social Security records to ensure voters who have died are cleared from the rolls. On the federal side, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Colorado appointed a district election officer who is responsible for overseeing complaints of election fraud and voting rights abuses. It's a long-standing program.
A high-flow water release increase from Glen Canyon Dam beginning on Monday, November the 7th, 2016, is scheduled to support a high-flow experiment in partnership with the National Park Service, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and the U.S. Geological Survey. That's according to the Bureau of Reclamation. This high-flow experiment will include a peak magnitude release of approximately 36,000 cubic feet per second for 96 hours to move accumulated sediment downstream to help rebuild beaches and backwater habitats. The decision to conduct this HFE was made following substantial consultation with Colorado River Basin states, American Indian tribes, and involved federal and state agencies. Reclamation and National Park Service officials remind recreational users to use caution along the Colorado River through Glen and Grand Canyons during the entire week of November 7th next week. Flow level information will be posted at multiple locations in both Glen Canyon National Recreation Area and Grand Canyon National Park. High flow experiments benefit the Colorado River ecosystem through Glen and Grand Canyons by moving sand in the river channel and redepositing it downstream in reaches such as sandbars and beaches. Those sandbars provide habitat for wildlife, serve as camping beaches for recreation also, and supply sand needed to protect archaeological sites. High flows may also create backwater areas used by young native fishes, particularly the endangered humpback chub. The HFE will not change the total annual amount of water released from Lake Powell to Lake Mead. Releases later in the water year will be adjusted to compensate for the high volume released during this high flow experiment. Additional information about this high flow experiment will be posted and updated online at usbr.gov.
As reported yesterday, the Dolores County DCDC public meeting focusing on the new hemp processing facility in the Weber Business Park provided over an hour's worth of shared information on the legality of processing hemp. Additionally, there was information shared on the status of growing industrial hemp as a crop potential and what all that means. Information was extensively explained by Colorado Department of Agricultural Representative Dwayne Sinning, who attended the meeting via phone. First of all, it is important for those unfamiliar with what hemp is to differentiate it from what is called marijuana. Industrial hemp is now classified by the federal government separately from medicinal or recreational marijuana. The plants themselves are like comparing a mighty oak tree to a shrub oak, often called the same name, but entirely different types of plants for different uses. In this case, the technical nomenclature is that the general plant cultivar is named cannabis. There are different strains of cannabis, and most are crossed hybrid bred for optimum results. The strains grown for their high THC levels, the element that causes a psychoactive experience, are often referred to as marijuana, a term coined from Mexico which has a whole history in and of itself. This is also called pot, weed, grass, ganja, and the like. Industrial hemp is grown for the highly fibrous stalk and concentrated seed head. It must have a THC content level of 0.3% or less, such that the tetrahydrocannabinol element isn't relevant. Both plants contain CBDs, which have yet to be clearly researched as to their medicinal properties. However, the U.S. government patented CBD number 6630507 with details based directly on the stated fact of CBD being medicinal for levels of antioxidants and neuroprotectants. So back to the legal aspect of growing industrial hemp in Colorado. The Colorado State Constitution separated the industrial hemp plant with Amendment 64 and authorizes Colorado citizens to legally grow the plant in conjunction with their state-managed pilot research and commercial program. So yes, when registered with the state, you can legally grow industrial hemp in Dolores County. In that program, as described by Mr. Sinning, the grower must register with the state personally, and the mapped out section of land must be GPSed and also registered with the state. In 2017, one will be able to buy Colorado State certified seeds and grow the crop as if you were growing anything else, after paying the fees and registering, of course. If the seeds aren't certified, then the grower must pay for a lab test of the crop as it is being grown to determine that the THC level is below the 0.3% rate, or if not, the crop must be destroyed. On the federal level, due to the recent inclusion of such pilot and commercial language in the federally authorized Farm Bill, industrial hemp is now also legal to the extent that it is accepted within the federal Farm Bill. Mr. Sinning noted that not only is it being allowed to be grown, but recent federal level grant monies are being proposed for the cultivar development. Legislation is being drafted to completely eliminate industrial hemp listing in any association with medical marijuana cannabis in order to clear the way without prejudice for agricultural production. Using agricultural water for the plants still remains in a bit of a gray area, but discussions with water boards seem to be clearing up any potential pitfalls in that area as well. It was stated that 27 states have some form of industrial hemp authorization, and the trend is moving forward towards re-energizing the cultivation in the U.S. as it is done currently all around the world and was part of our American heritage from the start of our republic. So the potential economic impact of having a hemp processing plant in Dove Creek may be a viable opportunity for farmers to rotate hemp into their field use. Pricing and profits are still unknown. As with all crops, the market demands and supplies dictate whether there's enough money to fuel the tractor. Mr. Sinning estimated that the price per pound may come down to a $10 to $12 range, that the seeding factor for our area is roughly 20 to 30 pounds per acre, and that there are on average 63 seeds per gram. Currently, there are just under 6,000 acres of industrial hemp grown in the state of Colorado for 2016, but there are no details on the financial aspect of those who are farming as yet. This Saturday, November 5th, there will be a hemp symposium in Alamosa, Colorado from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. presented by Adams State University. If you might be interested to learn more about all of the products and economic opportunities for hemp-related materials, you can go online to chimneyrockhemp.com or check them out on Facebook. And now, let's take a look at our weather.
This evening, about sunset, the last of the exiting cold front and the moisture from it that is now over the divide will end. The split of the system that was to our west that we spoke of yesterday is in the process, and the southern piece of it will reform over today and tomorrow. Moisture in it and from the reformation process will draw additional moisture from Texas and the Gulf as well. But any rain will stay south of Colorado and Utah borders tomorrow, but will move toward the Four Corners and reach us by Friday. The rain and snow level is expected to begin at 11,000 foot as it moves in and then lower Saturday. Accumulating snow Saturday morning at elevations above 10,000 is expected. The San Juans may see 3 to 6 inches above 11,000 feet, and under that level, rain and snow until rain prevails. For Dove Creek and surrounds, some estimates say 2/3 of an inch of rain during that time is possible. The night following departure of that system will be coldest, and that should be about Monday night. Then we hope to have a warmer trend start by Tuesday of next week. In our national weather, a series of upper-level disturbances across the Pacific Northwest coast will keep that area disturbed through the week. Showers and moderate rainfall is the current trend along the British Columbia and Washington coast. Another front is coming to them. Most heavy rainfall and higher elevations of snow will be limited mostly to British Columbia. A large front from Quebec to Arizona will move slowly east over the next couple of days. Scattered showers and thunderstorms will develop. This front will stall along the Great Lakes and the Mississippi Valley this afternoon, and rain will begin to spread across the southern high plains and Rockies. Heavy rainfall across parts of Arizona and New Mexico and Texas may increase the risk of flash flooding. 1 to 2 inches of rain will be possible across the southern plains. 3-day totals of 2 to 3.5 inches for West Texas and southeast New Mexico are possible. The northern half of the front will pass through the Great Lakes and the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Our high temps over the next 5 days are still forecast to be between 60 and 65 degrees, lows from the middle 30s down to the upper 20s. Clouds, rain, snow above 10 and 11,000 foot levels. More fall stuff, in other words. And now back to the news.
Chimney Rock gets a new trail for 2017, according to the Durango Herald article and Ann Bond of the San Juan National Forest Public Affairs Office. Visitors to Chimney Rock National Monument next year will have a safer hike to the mesa top following work completed this month by a Native American crew from Zuni Pueblo, a New Mexico tribe with cultural ties to the ancestral Pueblans. Chimney Rock near Pagosa Springs became a national monument in 2012. It covers 7 square miles of the San Juan National Forest and features hundreds of prehistoric pit houses and ceremonial buildings built by the ancestral Pueblans. The trail to the Chacuan-style Great House Pueblo on the mesa at 7,000 feet may only be a half-mile long, but it's steep and rocky. 8 young Zuni tribal members worked for 4 weeks to upgrade the trail at Chimney Rock under the Southwest Conservation Corps Ancestral Lands Program. SCC established the program in 2008 at Acoma Pueblo and expanded it to include crews from the Navajo Nation and Zuni Pueblo. Chas Robles, SCC Ancestral Lands Program Director, said, "This is our first year at Zuni, and we already have 45 young people in the program. We have received grassroots support through both the Native community and Tribal Council administration." SCC Ancestral Lands crews work across the West on historical preservation and traditional agricultural projects, stream restoration, fencing, and trail construction. "This is one of our sacred sites related to Zuni migration stories," said crew leader James Hemp. Tyler Albers, Pagosa District Trail Crew boss, said, "The goal of the project was to improve visitor safety while leaving the trail as natural as possible. We covered the trail surface with gravel to minimize erosion and replaced the old wooden steps to provide more stable surfaces. In addition, geotextile fabric was installed underneath to help facilitate drainage and keep gravel in place. Another important benefit was to protect archaeological resources under the trail itself." Almost 12,000 people visited the National Monument this summer. Volunteers with the nonprofit Chimney Rock Interpretive Association escort all visitors on guided hikes in partnership with the San Juan National Forest. Visitors come from all over the country and range from families with children to seniors. The Forest Service has received a grant from the Colorado State Historical Fund to conduct an ethnographic study with tribes such as Zuni, which have cultural ties to Chimney Rock. This research will help land managers better understand and incorporate Native American interests into interpretation of the site. In addition, Dr. Gerardo Gutierrez of the University of Colorado Boulder recently completed light detection and ranging, or LIDAR, mapping at Chimney Rock. The remote sensing maps will allow the Forest Service to create three-dimensional images of the Great House or anything else around the area to help identify previously unknown features and archaeological sites.
Climate change is a reality. The severity, duration, and direction of it are the questions, and an important consideration in many areas of our lives. Consider allergies and pollen. In the spring, the pollen that gives humans allergies comes from trees. In the summer, people have allergic reactions to grass pollen. And at the end of summer and the beginning of fall, people begin to suffer from pollinating weeds, especially ragweed, which has spread from the United States to Europe and the Middle East. Better to give than receive, right? Leonard Bealery, professor and allergy specialist at Rutgers University Center of Environmental Protection, says the reason that pollen makes some people sniffle and sneeze is because their immune systems attack it like a parasite. That's because certain people's immune systems recognize the protein sequence in pollen as similar to the protein sequence in parasites. When this happens, their bodies attempt to expel the parasite through sneezing and other symptoms. This attack on the pollen is the reaction we call allergy. The fact that some people's bodies react this way is actually kind of weird, since pollen is rather innocuous. Our immune system really should not be reacting to it, because pollen is nothing more than male reproductive components of plants. Charles W. Smith, in his this month's issue of Environmental Health Perspectives, writes that reports of pollen allergies first appeared around the time of the Industrial Revolution. Whether that means that these allergies were the product of pollution, new diets, or changes in hygiene isn't clear. What is clear is the role of climate change in contemporary pollen allergies. Some scientific types who venture out of their own area of specialty into other areas, say for example when a NASA or Russian astrophysicist leaps into the field of botany without a flight checkout on botany, these will make some errors in the way they think concerning climate changes and CO2, saying such silly things as if CO2, that is only a small, almost minuscule part of the atmosphere and therefore cannot have any connection to global warming, which they religiously say does not exist. Well, let's consider a basic of elementary school science. Plants feed off CO2 in a specific and major way. It is key to the very life of all that grows in the dirt. And when exposed to warmer temperatures and higher levels of CO2, plants grow more vigorously and produce more pollen than they otherwise would. Warming temperatures in some areas, like the northern United States, extend the periods during which plants release pollen. The combined effect of warming temperatures and more CO2 means that the amount of pollen in the air has been increasing and will continue to increase as climate change worsens. According to a study presented by Bealery, pollen counts could double by 2040. This is bad news not just for people who have allergies, but also for people who do not. In general, the longer you're exposed to an allergen, the more likely you are to become sensitized to that allergen. Bealery says that people who have pollen allergies may experience intensified symptoms, and people who don't normally have pollen allergies may start to. Already, Schmidt writes, there is evidence suggesting that hay fever prevalence is rising in many parts of the world.
The exclusive developed town resort of Dunton in northeast Dolores County offers a unique high-end vacation stay. That owner has now branched out to a property in Telluride as well. As reported in the Cortez Journal, for most, any high-end mountain resort, ski concierge and boot butlers are a given. What makes these spots shine is their commitment to modern alpine design, creating rooms that are as fit for the 21st century as your custom-molded Salomon boots. The Dunton team struck gold with its first property, a takeover and redevelopment of an abandoned ghost town in a hot springs town that few have ever heard of before. Its sophomore opening, Dunton River Camp, had the fashion world clamoring to go glamping in Colorado's remote backcountry. So imagine what they will do to skyrocket Telluride's reputation, given that the popular, if low-key, ski resort has never had a Grade A property in the heart of its historic downtown core. That's the bet that's being made with Dunton Town House, a 5-room Victorian home that the Dunton team is converting into a high-design 5-room inn. The decor will riff on the heritage of Austria and Tyrol, with antique Austrian furniture, Alpine-inspired Gmunder Keramik dishes for breakfast service, and art that was curated by co-owner and professional gallerist Katrine Bellinger. Doors open in November within a 2-minute walk of the lifts, no less. Room rates start from $350. We know winter weather will be coming soon for the mountain ranges, so ski buffs are already chomping at the bit.
And now for the Dolores County Sheriff's Roundup for the week of October 24th through the 30th. A missing person report was initiated. The person was found to be safe. Utah Port of Entry reported a port runner. A deputy was able to locate and make contact with the driver and sent the vehicle back to the port. A neighbor reported a door open to a residence in town and a deputy responded. A deer was reported injured on Highway 141. When the deputy arrived at the scene, the deer was able to get up on its own and leave the roadway. A county resident reported hearing yelling that sounded as though someone needed help. A deputy responded, and the welfare of everyone was fine. An investigation has been initiated after a report of rape in the county. Colorado State Patrol requested immediate assistance from the sheriff's deputies on a traffic stop on Highway 491 involving possible stolen plates. That's it for today's roundup. Stay tuned next time for more updates.
In today's High Country happenings, now that we are into November, Thanksgiving is the main focus for the month, especially for all those wary of the election news and chatter, though that might not end by November 9th. Grace's Kitchen in Cortez is accepting donations for this year's community Thanksgiving dinner. Frozen turkeys may be taken to 110 West North Street in Cortez between 8 a.m. and 12 noon. Monetary donations can be mailed to 110 West North Street, Cortez, Colorado 81321, or call 970-565-7865 for more info. Details on that event will be shared as we get closer to Turkey Day. Also, the Winter Farmers Market at Four Seasons begins this Saturday, November 5th. It's the kickoff weekend, and this year promises to be even bigger and better than ever. Held on Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. through March 18th, they will have fresh produce, meats, coffee, eggs, crafts, and more. The market continues to evolve with over 25 vendors this season. It's a great place to do your weekly shopping, visit with a neighbor, and spend some time in a warm, tropical setting while supporting your local producers. They've got an exciting season planned filled with many new classes and activities. Check them out this Saturday for a sneak peek at the Christmas shop. It's located at 26650 Road P in Dolores. For more info, visit them online at fourseasonsgreenhouse.com. And Hesperus Ski Patrol is having their 53rd annual ski swap this weekend. It is the annual fundraiser for the Hesperus Ski Patrol. It takes place at La Plata County Fairgrounds. Volunteers are the lifeblood of this event. They have volunteer slots available Thursday, November 3rd through Sunday, November 6th. You work one full shift to be eligible for benefits, which include a free t-shirt and admissions for you and your family into the Friday night pre-swap sale. Saturday, it opens to the general public. For details, call 970-442-1866 to volunteer, or for more info on Hesperus, visit their site online at hesperusskipatrol.org. All of the happenings are posted on the DCTV News at Noon Facebook page, along with the YouTube replay of the news show and exclusive local 5-day forecasts. So be sure to check that out and let us share your event or notice by emailing dcbnnews@gmail.com or call the station at 677-4119. Thanks for tuning in. A reminder that this program is aired live at noon Monday through Wednesday, then rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8 p.m., and again aired Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the same order at noon, 2:30, and 8 each day, respectively.
And again, check us out on Facebook and the YouTube replays. Like us there, join the local conversation, and share it with a friend.
For Jerry Tope and everyone at DCTV with the News at Noon program out of Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kendra Cook. Fear not, love much, and thanks for watching.